The silver shuttle descended through Terrace's purple atmosphere, gliding toward the designated landing zone. Commander Dae Kim stood at the viewport, his experienced eyes taking in the alien landscape below. After 20 years in Earth's interstellar Intelligence Division, this was his 43rd first contact mission, yet he felt the familiar flutter of excitement in his chest. "Final approach, Commander," said Pilot Sun from the controls. "Teresian Control has cleared us for landing pad 3. Dae nodded. "Remember everyone, we follow Protocol 7 to the letter. We're just diplomats bringing greetings from Earth." The 5-person team exchanged knowing glances. They all understood their cover roles perfectly. On paper, they were a standard diplomatic team making initial contact after the unmanned probes had established basic communication. In reality, they were elite agents assessing if Terrace was ready for full admission to the Galactic Alliance. The shuttle touched down with a gentle bump. Through the viewport, Dae could see a delegation of Teresians waiting. They stood nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin that shimmered in the planet's amber sunlight. Their 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, blinked in unison. As they watched the shuttle, "They seem calm enough," observed Lieutenant Hannah Park, Dae's second-in-command. Her hand rested casually near her concealed weapon. "Let's keep it that way," Dae said, straightening his simple grey diplomatic uniform. "Remember, we're honored guests bringing friendship." The team lined up at the shuttle door. The airlock cycle completed with a soft hiss, and the ramp extended downward. Dae led his team out, his hands held open in the universal gesture of peace. "Greetings from Earth," he called out in the Teresian language they'd learned from the linguistic database. "We come with respect and friendship." The lead Teresian stepped forward. Unlike the others who wore simple blue garments, this one was dressed in elaborate red robes with gold symbols that the team's cultural specialists hadn't seen in their research. "You are not welcome here," the Teresian said flatly. Dae maintained his diplomatic smile despite his surprise. "There must be some misunderstanding. We were invited by your planetary council after our communication exchanges." The lead Teresian made a sharp gesture. Suddenly, 20 armed guards emerged from behind nearby structures, weapons pointed at the human team. "You humans think yourselves clever," the Teresian leader said, "but we intercepted your real communications. We know. You're here to infiltrate our society." Dae kept his posture relaxed even as his mind raced through contingency plans. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was a serious diplomatic incident in the making. "I assure you, we are simply here to establish peaceful relations," Dae said calmly. "Perhaps we could speak with your planetary council to clear this up." "The council has authorized your detention for questioning," the Teresian replied. "Surrender your communication devices and weapons." Hannah stepped slightly closer to Dae. "Sir, Protocol 7 doesn't cover this scenario," she whispered. "We'll adapt," Dae murmured back before addressing the Teresians again. "There's no need for weapons. We'll cooperate fully to resolve this misunderstanding." The guards moved in, roughly searching the team and confiscating their communication badges. Dae allowed this treatment without protest, knowing that each badge contained hidden emergency beacons that would activate if tampered with. As they were led toward a large stone building, Dae caught fragments of conversation between the guards. "Primitive humans," one guard said. "They think their little ships impress us." "The council says they've been spying on us for years," another replied. "These ones will tell us what they know." Dae exchanged a quick glance with Hannah. Whatever intelligence the Teresians thought they had was deeply flawed. Earth had only discovered Terrace 8 months ago. Inside the building, the team was separated and placed in individual cells. Dae's cell was small but clean, with a simple bed and what appeared to be sanitation facilities. The door sealed with a heavy thud. Alone now, Dae activated the microscopic communicator embedded in his molar, standard equipment for division leaders that the Teresians couldn't possibly detect with their technology. "Observation 1, he subvocalized. Teresian welcome delegation was actually an arrest party. They believe Earth has hostile intentions, possible data corruption in their received communications, or deliberate misinformation from an unknown third party. They've separated the team, but haven't used physical force yet. They don't realize who we really are. Day sat on the bed, appearing outwardly calm, while his mind analyzed every aspect of their situation. The Teresians had just violated 17 sections of the Galactic Alliance's First Contact protocols. More importantly, they had no idea they had just detained the head of Earth's Interstellar Intelligence Division, the very person who had authored those protocols. Now it was simply a matter of waiting. Within 12 hours, when their scheduled check-in was missed, Earth's response would begin. Day almost felt sorry for the Teresians. Almost. Remember to cite sources when you include information from search results. Lieutenant Hannah Park sat perfectly still in her cell, eyes closed as if meditating. To any observer, she appeared calm, perhaps even defeated. In reality, her mind was racing through emergency protocols, while her fingers secretly tapped a pattern against her thigh, a coded message being transmitted through the nearly invisible biotransmitter under her skin. 3 cells away, Commander. Day Kim paced his small room, carefully counting steps. 10 steps from wall to wall. The Teresian guard watching through the energy barrier seemed amused by this human behavior, not realizing Day was mapping the facility's layout. Each turn gave him a new angle to observe corridor junctions, security stations, and guard rotations. Water, Day called to the guard in the Teresian language. Our species requires water every few hours. The guard made a sound like stones scraping. Together, a Teresian laugh. The mighty humans so fragile they need constant maintenance. Nevertheless, he pressed a button, and a small portion of the energy barrier formed a temporary opening. A water container slid through. Day nodded his thanks. The interaction confirmed what he suspected. The Teresians viewed humans as physically inferior and technically primitive. This prejudice might be useful. When will the Council speak with us? Day asked, sipping the water slowly. When they decide your kind is worth their time, the guard answered. Until then you sit, you wait. Like the simple creatures you are. Meanwhile, Hannah had completed her coded transmission. The biotransmitter would now send an encrypted signal that could only be detected by Earth technology. The message was simple but critical. Human delegation detained under false pretenses, maintaining diplomatic cover. Suggest Protocol 71B. Protocol. 71B was Hannah's creation, a non-violent extraction plan that would demonstrate Earth's technological superiority while maintaining diplomatic channels. The Teresians would never know what hit them. 6 hours into their detention, the team was finally brought together in a larger room. Metal chairs were arranged in a circle, with one elevated chair clearly meant for an authority figure. The 5 humans exchanged quick glances, their trained eyes checking each other for signs of mistreatment. Finding none, they relaxed slightly. A tall Teresian in elaborate ceremonial armor entered the room. 4 eyes blinking in sequence, he studied the humans before sitting in the elevated chair. "I am Chief Interrogator Mev," he announced. "You will answer my questions truthfully, or your comfort will decrease significantly." Day stepped forward. As team leader, "There's been a misunderstanding. We are—" "Silence!" Mev interrupted. "We know what you are. Our deep space monitors detected your scanning probes years ago. Your clumsy attempts at disguising them as asteroids did not fool our scientists." Day blinked in genuine confusion. Earth had indeed sent probes, but they were clearly marked with Earth insignia and broadcast peaceful messages on all frequencies. Someone had tampered with the probes or fed the Teresians false information. "Show them what we found," Mev ordered. A younger Teresian activated a holographic projector. An image appeared, clearly an Earth probe, but its markings had been altered to resemble military symbols. The probe's communication array was modified to look like weapons. "This is not our technology," Day said firmly. "Our probes are scientific. Instruments, not weapons." "More lies," Mev said. "We have intercepted your communications. Your civilization plans to colonize our world. Your diplomatic mission is merely advanced scouts." Across the room, Communications Officer Jin caught Day's eye and made a subtle hand gesture, their universal sign for signal interference. Someone was deliberately sabotaging Earth-Terrace communications. "Chief Interrogator," Day said respectfully, "I believe a third party may be manipulating information between our worlds. We have no interest in colonization. Earth is part of the Galactic Alliance, which prohibits such actions. Galactic Alliance, Mev repeated, his four eyes narrowing. Another fiction. Our astronomers have found no evidence of this supposed alliance of worlds. Day realized the extent of the misinformation. The Teresians were being kept deliberately isolated, fed false data about Earth and the wider galaxy. But who would benefit from this deception? Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. The EDU guards looked up in confusion. "Security breach in Sector 7, a voice announced over speakers. "Unknown energy signature detected." Day suppressed a smile. Hana's plan was working. Earth had received her message and deployed their response. Outside the detention center, an Earth stealth vessel would now be positioning itself, using technology far beyond Teresian understanding. Mev glared at the humans. "What have you done?" "Nothing," Day answered truthfully. "But I suggest you contact your planetary council immediately. Tell them that by detaining official representatives of Earth, they have violated 17 sections of the Galactic Alliance First Contact Protocols." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Mev's face. "You are simple diplomats," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Day stood taller, his eyes meeting each of Mev's four eyes in sequence, a sign of dominance in Teresian culture. "I am Commander Day Kim, Director of Earth's Interstellar Intelligence Division and author of the First Contact Protocols your world agreed to follow when you responded to our initial communication. And in approximately," he checked the simple watch they had not confiscated, "45 minutes, your leaders will understand exactly what that means." Mev's blue skin paled to a light azure. The alarms continued to blare as the facility's systems detected technology they couldn't identify or counter. The first phase of rescue was underway, and the Teresians were about to learn how wrong they were about humanity's capabilities. The Grand Council chamber of Terris gleamed with polished blue stone and towering crystal pillars. 7 Teresian council members sat on elevated platforms, looking down at the 5 humans standing in the center of the circular room. Commander Day Kim stood tall despite 20 hours of detention, his gray diplomatic uniform wrinkled, but his posture perfect. "The charges against the Earth delegation are serious," announced Head Counselor Vex, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Espionage, attempted infiltration, falsification of diplomatic credentials." Day remained silent, watching the ceremonial proceedings with practiced patience. Lieutenant Hana stood at his side, her expression neutral despite the small smile trying to form at the corner of her lips. She knew what was coming. "Before you continue with these accusations," Day finally spoke, his voice clear and measured, "I suggest you check your orbital monitoring stations." The council members exchanged confused glances. "What trickery is this?" demanded Councillor Loon, the youngest of the 7. "Our orbital defenses are the strongest in this sector." "I'm not talking about your defenses," Day replied calmly. "I'm talking about what they're currently detecting." As if on cue, a Teresian officer rushed into the chamber, his 4 eyes wide with alarm. He whispered urgently to Councillor Vex, whose blue skin darkened with what Day recognized as the Teresian equivalent of shock. "Impossible," Vex muttered. "What is happening?" demanded another council member. Vex looked at the humans with new wariness. "Our sensors detect a vessel in orbit. It appeared from nowhere. No approach was detected." "That would be the EFS Horizon," Day said. "Earth's flagship. It's been in orbit for the past 3 hours, using stealth technology that your sensors cannot detect." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The council members spoke rapidly among themselves in their native language, too fast for the humans. Translators to follow precisely, but the tone of alarm was clear. "If we meant you harm," Day continued, "this conversation wouldn't be happening. The Horizon carries enough firepower to level this building without landing a single soldier." The chamber fell silent. Day reached slowly into a hidden pocket in his uniform and removed a small metallic disc. When he pressed its center, a holographic display appeared above it, showing his full credentials. "I am Commander Day Kim, Director of Earth's Interstellar Intelligence Division and Senior Representative of the Galactic Alliance Assessment Committee." This was never a simple diplomatic mission. The Council stared at the rotating holographic symbols and authorization codes, technology beyond their current capabilities. Every new species we contact undergoes an assessment before being invited to join the Galactic Alliance, Day explained. We observe how you treat visitors, how you handle differences, whether you rush to judgment or seek understanding. Lieutenant Hana stepped forward, activating her own credential disk. The Alliance currently includes 27 spacefaring civilizations across this galactic quadrant. Earth serves as the assessment coordinator for this sector. On the main wall of the chamber, a large screen suddenly activated without any Teresian touching the controls. The face of Captain Mai appeared, Commander of the Horizon. Counselors of Terris, Captain Mai said formally. I trust our delegation is being treated with appropriate diplomatic respect now. Councillor Vex stood shakily. There has been a misunderstanding. We received information that humans were hostile. Our data showed... Your data was manipulated, Day interrupted. We detected the signal interference once we landed. Someone has been feeding your civilization false information about Earth and the Alliance. The youngest council member, Lun, stepped down from the platform and approached Day directly. If what you say is true, then who would do this, and why? Day's expression softened slightly. This was the first genuine question any Teresian had asked, the first sign of curiosity, rather than fear or aggression. That's what we need to discover together, he answered. There are species who oppose the Alliance, who prefer isolation and conflict because it serves their interests. They typically target promising worlds about to achieve interstellar flight. The chamber doors opened again, and Chief Interrogator Mev entered, looking considerably less confident than during the interrogation. Counselors, he said urgently, we've analyzed the communication logs as ordered. The commander speaks the truth. Our original friendly exchanges with Earth were intact, but later transmissions show evidence of external modification. Day watched the realization sweep through the room. The Teresians had been manipulated, their natural caution about the unknown twisted into paranoia and hostility. The real question, Day said, is how your civilization responds to learning. You've been deceived. That response will determine your readiness for the wider galactic community. Councillor Vex stepped down from the platform, a significant gesture of humility in Teresian culture. The other council members followed. Commander. Kim, Vex said formally. On behalf of Terris, I offer our deepest apologies for your treatment. We allowed fear to cloud our judgment. Day nodded in acknowledgement. Fear is a natural response to the unknown. What matters is what comes next. What does come next? Asked Lun, genuine curiosity in all four eyes. Day smiled for the first time, since their landing. First, we find who tampered with our communications. Then we begin your true introduction to the Galactic Alliance, if you're still interested. The council members looked at each other, then back at the humans. Slowly, Vex extended his four-fingered hand in the human gesture of greeting they had initially rejected. We are interested, Commander, he said, and perhaps wiser now than we were yesterday. Day took the offered hand, marking the true beginning of Earth-Teresian relations. Above them, visible through the chamber's crystal ceiling, the stars twinkled, each one potentially home to other civilizations, waiting to be discovered, assessed, and welcomed into the community of worlds. The Teresian Grand Hall had been transformed. Overnight, where once stood only Teresian emblems and artifacts, now a circular table dominated the center, surrounded by chairs of various shapes and sizes, each designed for different species' anatomies. Commander Day Kim sat at one side, Lieutenant Hannah Park beside him, both now dressed in the formal blue and silver uniforms of Earth's diplomatic corps. Across from them sat the Teresian Council, their postures noticeably more subdued than during yesterday's accusatory session. Head Councillor Vex kept all four eyes lowered slightly, a Teresian gesture of respect and regret. Before we begin, Day said, activating a small device on the table, I'd like to ensure our discussions are secure. The device hummed softly before projecting an invisible energy field around the room. The Teresian technology officials in the corner gasped as their monitoring equipment suddenly showed nothing but static. A privacy field, Day explained. Standard. Procedure for alliance negotiations. Councillor Lun leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. How does it work? Our best scientists have theorized such technology, but consider it decades away. Hannah smiled. It creates a dimensional pocket, a space slightly out of phase with normal reality. Everything within appears normal, but sound and electronic signals cannot pass through. The Teresian scientists in the corner frantically took notes, their four-fingered hands moving rapidly across their tablets. Now, Day continued, let's address who tampered with our communications. He nodded to Hannah, who activated another device. A holographic star map appeared above the table, highlighting trade routes and territorial boundaries. Several systems were marked in red. Our investigation points to the Vexcar Consortium, Hannah explained. They control these systems and have opposed Alliance expansion for centuries. Why would they target us? Asked Councillor Vex. Your world sits at a strategic location, Day replied, pointing to Terrace's position on the map. And your quantum communication technology is advancing rapidly. The consortium wouldn't want such capabilities allied with Earth. Before the Teresians could respond, a soft chime sounded. Day smiled. Ah, right on schedule. Our colleagues have arrived. The massive doors to the Grand Hall opened. The Teresians gasped collectively as three distinctly non-human figures entered. First came Ambassador Zell, tall and willowy with iridescent skin that shifted colors with each movement. Behind her, Ambassador Krith lumbered in on 6 thick legs, his rocky hide glittering under the hall's lights. Last entered Representative Zoe, floating several feet above the ground, their translucent body pulsing with soft light. May I present, Day announced, representatives from the Luminar Collective, the Krithon Assembly, and the Zoe Consciousness, 3 founding members of the Galactic Alliance. The Teresian Council stood in stunned silence. Until this moment, they had only theoretical evidence that other intelligent species existed. Now 3 stood before them. Ambassador Zell spoke first, her voice melodious. Your world has been monitored by the Vexcar for some time. They fear your potential just as they once feared humans. Krith's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Earth was once like you, isolated, manipulated, made to fear the stars. Now they lead our peacekeeping forces. Zoe's thoughts projected directly into everyone's minds, causing several Teresians to flinch. We come to witness this meeting because it echoes the past. Earth once stood where you stand. The Teresians looked at the humans with new understanding. Day nodded, acknowledging the shift in perception. 60 years ago, he explained, Earth was deliberately kept ignorant of the wider galactic community. When we finally broke through the information blockade, we discovered dozens of civilizations had been watching us for centuries. Hannah continued, some wanted to welcome us. Others, like the consortium, wanted to exploit or contain us. Earth chose to join those who sought cooperation rather than conflict. Day activated another holographic display, showing Earth ships mediating conflicts between alien vessels. We now serve as the Alliance's primary peacekeeping force. Humans have a unique combination of traits. We're adaptable, diplomatic when possible, and formidable when necessary. The Teresians watched in amazement as the display showed human diplomats and security forces working alongside dozens of alien species, resolving conflicts and protecting weaker civilizations. This could be Terrace's future, Day said, if you choose to join us. Councillor Vex studied the images carefully. What would membership require? 3 things, Hannah answered. First, open communication with all Alliance members. Second, adherence to the non-interference protocols with pre-spaceflight civilizations. Third, contribution to collective defense according to your capabilities. And what do we gain? Asked the practical-minded Councillor. Mechant Ambassador XL stepped forward, her skin shifting to a warm golden hue. Knowledge, the collected scientific discoveries of 27 civilizations, some millions of years older than yours. Krith stomped one massive foot. Protection. The consortium will try again to interfere with your development. Alone, you cannot stop them. Zoe's mental voice was gentle but firm. And purpose. Every species brings unique perspectives to our collective. Yours may solve problems we haven't yet overcome. The Teresians huddled together, speaking rapidly in their native language. When they turned back, Councillor Vex addressed not just Day, but all the representatives. We would like to apply for provisional membership, he announced, and we offer our communication technology to help identify and prevent future consortium interference. Day smiled and extended his hand. This time all 7 council members reached forward to complete the human handshake. Welcome, Day said, simply, to a much larger universe. Outside the privacy field, news spread quickly through the Teresian capital. By nightfall, their astronomers had confirmed the presence of not just 1, but 5 massive ships in orbit, representatives of 5 different civilizations, their lights visible as new stars in Terrace's night sky. 1 month after the detention incident, the central plaza of Terrace's capital city buzzed with activity. Where once stood military checkpoints, now stood colorful pavilions, each showcasing different aspects of Earth culture. Teresian families moved from booth to booth, their 4 eyes wide with wonder, as they experienced human art, music, food, and science demonstrations. Commander Day Kim watched from a quiet corner, sipping a cup of Teresian berry tea that had become his favorite local drink. Beside him stood Councillor Lun, who had become the most enthusiastic supporter of Earth-Teresian relations. Your cultural exchange program was a brilliant response, Lun said, watching a group of Teresian children attempt to play human musical instruments with their 4-fingered hands. When the council expected demands for reparations, you offered understanding instead, Day smiled. Punishment would have only reinforced the fear the consortium planted. This, he gestured to the lively scene before them, defeats their purpose more effectively than any sanction could. Across the plaza, Lieutenant Hannah Park was teaching a group of Teresian security officers Earth martial arts adapted for their different body structure. Despite being shorter than the Teresians, she effortlessly demonstrated throws that used their height and weight against them. The Teresian officers watched with newfound respect. It's hard to believe we once thought humans were primitive, Lun admitted. Your people adapt so quickly to challenges. That's our greatest strength, Day replied. Not our technology or military power, but our ability to adapt and find common ground, even with those who initially fear or misunderstand us. A small commotion drew their attention to the center of the plaza. A Teresian child had accidentally activated a holographic Earth display, causing a life-size blue whale to appear swimming through the air above the crowd. Teresians gasped and pointed as the massive creature swam through their city center. Rather than fear, their faces showed delight and wonder. 6 weeks ago, that might have caused a panic, Lun observed. Understanding replaces fear, Day said. Simply, his communication device chimed softly. Excuse me, he said to Lun before stepping aside to take the call. The holographic face of Admiral Jun appeared. Commander, the consortium vessel we've been tracking has retreated beyond the system boundary. It seems they've given up on Terrace for now. Good news, Day replied. And the protection grid? Fully operational. Earth and Luminar ships will maintain rotation until the Teresians complete their own defensive systems. Day nodded. Thank you, Admiral. I'll return to the horizon tomorrow for the final briefing. As he rejoined Lun, the Teresian counselor was watching Hana's demonstration with fascination. Your lieutenant is remarkable. She forgave our harsh treatment so easily. Hana understands that your actions were based on false information, Day explained. Holding grudges doesn't serve our greater purpose. Later that evening, as the twin moons of Terrace rose in the purple sky, the official ceremony marking the end of the cultural exchange took place in the Grand Council chamber. All 7 council members stood on equal footing with the Earth delegation. No elevated platforms this time. Head Councillor Vex presented Day with a crystal containing Teresian quantum communication codes, a gesture of complete trust. With these, Earth can contact Terrace directly, bypassing any potential interference, Vex announced. We offer them as both apology and promise of future collaboration. Day accepted the crystal with a formal bow. And Earth offers this in return. He presented a small device that, when activated, projected a 3-dimensional map of the known galaxy, with Alliance territories clearly marked. Dozens of civilizations, thousands of worlds, all now open to Teresian exploration and exchange. This contains the navigation data for all approved alliance routes, Day explained. Your ships can now safely travel to Earth and 12 other core worlds, the assembled Teresians murmured in amazement. Just weeks ago, they had questioned if other, intelligent life existed. Now they held the keys to a vast interstellar community. We have much to learn, Vex acknowledged humbly. As do we all, Day replied with a smile. That's the point of the alliance. 3 months later, on Earth, Commander Day Kim stood before a class of cadets at the Interstellar Academy in Geneva. The lecture hall was filled with future diplomats and intelligence officers, all eager to learn from his experience. The Teresian incident, as it's now called, could have ended very differently, Day told them, pacing slowly across the stage. If we had responded to their fear with force, or to their prejudice with anger, we would have confirmed everything the consortium told them about humanity. A cadet raised her hand. Sir, wasn't it risky to offer cultural exchange when they had violated so many protocols? The riskiest response is often the most rewarding, Day answered. Remember this, throughout the galaxy, different species may have different technologies, different biologies, different societies, but fear, pride, and prejudice work the same way everywhere. And so do compassion, curiosity, and forgiveness. On the large screen behind him appeared a recent image. The first Teresian delegation visiting Earth, standing beneath cherry blossoms in Tokyo. Among them was Councillor Lun, now serving as Teres's first ambassador to Earth. Today, Teresian ships help patrol their sector against consortium influence. Their quantum communication technology has strengthened our detection of interference attempts. And next month, the first human cultural center opens on Teres. Day looked out at the eager young faces before him. Your technical training matters. Your tactical skills matter. But never forget that humanity's true power in the galaxy isn't our weapons or our ships. It's our capacity to turn enemies into allies through understanding. As the lecture ended, Day received a message from Lieutenant Hana, now Captain Park, currently stationed on Teres as head of the new Joint Security Force. The message contained only an image. Teresian children playing alongside human children in the New Earth Cultural Center, their differences forgotten in the joy of shared discovery. This, Day thought as he smiled at the image, was how humanity would truly secure its place among the stars, not through force but through connection.